Many people are confused about creation and evolution in Genesis chapter 1. Here is an interesting perspective for such people. My dear friends, Genesis starts like this: in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It means God created the universe in the beginning, which is time zero. Before the beginning, there was no time, but God was there because God is beyond time and space. And God, who is beyond time and space, created time and space in the beginning. And then if you look at the Genesis chapter 1, you would see various things created by God sequentially. And an interesting thing is, because this is a poetry, God first creates spaces and then he fills those spaces with living organisms. And the second interesting thing is that it follows the evolution sequence. If you look at the things that came first, like vegetation, and after that fish, and then land animals, birds, and then mammals, humans. So everything, that sequence is almost very similar to evolution. It could be that God first created the universe out of nothing, as we understand today from the Big Bang Theory. And then God let things evolve under God's guidance, which we call as intellectual design. And it took millions of years. The Bible doesn't say how many years it took for God to create the whole universe. It says that from God's perspective it was just 7 days. But from our perspective it could be more, because one day in God's world, which is beyond time and space, could be more than millions of years. And therefore it is possible that God took a long time to let things evolve out of dust. And that is also interesting. Out of dust all flesh came. All flesh, including vegetation, animal flesh, and human flesh. We are all made out of elements of the earth, and that we know from science today. And the sequence of events also mimics or also follows the evolutionary idea, where we say, yes, first there was a chemical evolution out of lifeless elements, life emerged, and then there was an organic evolution where small animals, small vegetations came first, followed by more complicated and larger animals, and finally humans. And humans are even today considered to be the pinnacle of evolution, or the final stage. But the evolution is still happening, as we all tend to understand. Now, to those people who are still confused, I would say Genesis 1 is written with a theological purpose, and it is a poetry. It is not a scientific document. You should not evaluate it for scientific answers. It is not written to give you the right answer about how many years God took, or about what were the ways in which God created, or about what came first and what came next. It is a poem. But there is a striking similarity to the way evolution has been happening, and how we now today understand how the universe and life itself has come about. Now, this is a poem, and in the poem, the main purpose of the poet is to tell the people of God that unlike the gods of other communities that worshipped idols, their God is not or cannot be represented by animals, birds, humans, sun, moon, or stars. anything in the creation. Their God is beyond all these things. And that is why, purposefully and polemically, the writer puts sun on the fourth day. The writer, of course, is aware that sun has come much before vegetation and many other things that he talks about. But he puts the sun and the moon on the fourth day to show that sun and moon, that the other communities worship as God, are only creations of God. They are not God himself. Again, his purpose, the second purpose, is to tell people that unlike the other communities who worship idols that are made by human hands, lifeless idols that are kept in the middle of a temple, our God has created the entire universe as a cosmic temple, and God has placed humans, living humans, as his image bearers, or as the image inside this temple. God created people in his image. Some people have wrongly argued that this means that God has created humans as spiritual beings, and rest of the animal kingdom has no spirit, vegetation has no spirit, no life. Because there is a verse in the Bible elsewhere that says, God is spirit. So people assume, they take that verse out of its context, and then they put it here and then say, God created people in his image, means God created people as spiritual beings, unlike the rest of the animal world or the plant kingdom. But that is not the message. The message is God created people in his image, in the image of love. If you read, there is another verse in the Bible which says, God is love, and those who dwell in love dwell in God. God created people in the image of love, in his image and in his likeness, in the image of love, to shepherd, to take care, to steward the whole creation with love. That was the duty that God gave to humans. Why do I say that the interpretation which says God created humans as spirit is wrong? Because in Ecclesiastes, Solomon says, we do not know where the spirit of an animal goes, whether it goes up or down, which means animals may have spirit. Understand that the purpose of the writer in Genesis 1 is theological, not scientific. And the purpose is to communicate to his people that their God cannot be represented by idols in the shape of sun, moon, stars, reptiles, birds, or mammals. Their God is the creator of the universe, and he has created the whole cosmos as a temple, as a cosmic temple. The entire cosmos is his temple. He's so great. And sun and moon are just his creation. And people he has created in his image for a purpose, that is to steward his creation, to protect it, to preserve it, and to reflect God's glory, that is the glory of love, into his creation. I hope this small video was helpful to you. I know you have many doubts about creation and evolution. It requires longer space to clear all the doubts about origin and about creation, which I would do at some point in time. I have written articles about it. But remember that current science believes the universe has an origin, universe has an end because of Big Bang theory. And if the universe has an origin, we have to understand from their perspective that everything came out of nothing, and there was nothing before the nothing. How much faith would you need to believe that the nothing became something and everything for no purpose? You require more faith to believe this than to believe that God created everything out of nothing for a purpose. And the purpose is love. God created everything out of nothing for a purpose. Nothingness did not create itself, or did not create everything out of itself without any purpose. Well, there are many people who says it is possible that the nothingness became everything without any purpose. Then my question to these people is, you scientist, you have a purpose. You atheist, you have a purpose. Your purpose is to disprove the existence of God, whom you cannot decipher or know, because he is beyond that nothingness where you have now reached, the singularity of Einstein. My dear friend, you have a purpose, and the purpose is to deny the existence of God. Answer me, how could this nothingness that has no purpose create everything that has some purpose, and you specifically, who has a very strong specific purpose, that is to deny the existence of God? We are intelligent beings, and we intelligent beings create computers, create machines that can calculate, create artificial intelligence. Intelligence in the artificial intelligence comes out of our intelligence. We are capable of creating intelligent things and intelligent beings as our children. Do you think that nothingness that had no intelligence created you, or became, or changed, metamorphosized into you who has so much intelligence? Do you think it is logical that the nothingness that has no intelligence, no purpose, became you? You create intelligent things because you yourself are intelligent. That is why behind the cosmos and before the cosmos, there is something that you and I cannot see or know with our intellectual capabilities. And that something is not a thing, is a God, a person who is powerful and unique and who is in control of everything. We can know him by faith. Without faith, it is impossible to know God or to please God. Therefore, my dear friend, when it says, in the beginning God created, before the beginning there was nothing, and therefore you should not hastily say that God did not exist or God does not exist and nothing became everything just like that for no purpose. You cannot know what existed before this particular beginning, because you and I can think only from the perspective of time and space. We cannot think, even imagine, without time and space in our imaginary television that we have, or imaginary screen that we have in our minds. It is beyond us, and in that beyondness lies God, the intelligent designer, who has designed everything, who has fashioned everything out of nothing, and has created you into such a being who can reflect him, his nature, which is love, or also can choose to deny him and become a hateful person, and a person who does not respect morality. If there is no God, there is no creator, there is no need of morality. The world becomes immoral, and right and wrong and good and bad disappears altogether. It's only because we believe there is somebody who can hold everything to account, somebody to whom we have to give account, that morality and meaning matter at the end of the day. Therefore, my dear friends, because we are moral beings and because we seek meaning, we need to assume, or we need to believe, that somebody who has a greater morality and greater meaning and greater intelligence than us must be working behind the scenes, though we may not be able to access or know that person without faith. God bless you. Have a great day. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Continue to believe in God if you're a believer. If you have questions, you can mail me, you can ask me directly. You can call me on my phone number, which is available on my Facebook page. My email ID is drmanojkumarkhator@gmail.com. God bless you.